The Fox engineer said humans don't feel, until I proved her wrong. The air in the workshop was thick with the scent of metal and ozone, humming with a low, rhythmic pulse of machines. I wiped a bead of sweat from my forehead and squinted at the glowing console before me. Across the room, she sat perched on a workbench, her fox-like ears twitching every so often, amber eyes sharp and calculating. Her fur, a striking mix of rust and gold, shimmered even under the harsh artificial lights. She was the engineer, legendary in her field, but she didn't just tinker with machines. She studied humans. And she didn't think much of us. "You humans," she said finally, her voice a melodic chime that somehow carried an edge. "Don't feel. You react. You simulate emotion, but it is not real." I stopped tightening a bolt and stared at her. "Excuse me." Her tail flicked lazily. "I've observed. Your species has no true emotional depth. You are predictable. You panic, you laugh, you cry, but it is always shallow, mechanical. Nothing like the resonance I see in other sapient beings. Not like me." I clenched my fists, feeling a rush of indignation. I had heard of her theories, how she saw humans as biological inefficiencies, but hearing it, aimed at me personally, ignited something I hadn't expected. "You're wrong," I said, my voice firmer than I felt. "I can prove you wrong." She raised an eyebrow, amused. "Do try." I didn't speak. I moved to the central platform and activated the human assistance drone we had been developing for months. Its lights flickered as it whirred to life, hovering between us. "This drone," I began, "is designed to respond to emotional cues. But I want to show you something beyond programming." She tilted her head. "I am listening." I took a deep breath. "You want proof that humans feel. That we feel deeply." I flicked a switch, and a holographic simulation lit up the room. A chaotic cityscape riddled with collapsing buildings, fires, and panicked citizens. "This is a scenario of loss, danger, and human suffering. I want to see if you can recognize the difference between mere observation and empathy." The Fox engineer leaned forward, her ears pivoting toward the projection. "I see stress patterns, neurotransmitter spikes, cortisol levels. Predictable responses. Yes, humans react, but it is formulaic." I ignored her, focusing on the console. I typed rapidly, altering the drone's programming on the fly. Then I triggered an audio file, a recording of a child's sobs mixed with pleas for help. Something unexpected happened. My own chest tightened. My throat caught. My hands shook. And the Fox engineer noticed. Her amber eyes narrowed. "You," she said softly, leaning back, "are reacting." "I am feeling," I corrected, my voice low. "This isn't mechanical. This is real. This is fear. This is sorrow. This is empathy." She studied me, her ears tilting in a subtle, almost human gesture of curiosity. "Show me more." I took a step closer to the hologram. The simulation shifted. An elderly man trapped beneath rubble, a dog whimpering beside him. I reached out instinctively, though the images were intangible. Tears welled, unbidden, and I swallowed hard, letting myself feel the helplessness and desperation that the scene evoked. The Fox engineer tilted her head again, clearly unsettled. "Your physiology, your heartbeat. It is not aligning with a predicted response. It is organic, emotional. This is unexpected." I seized the moment. Humans aren't just reactive. We mourn. We hope. We despair. We love. And sometimes we even transcend the fear and act, not because we are programmed to, but because we care. The hologram shifted once more. This time I added a personal memory. A scene from my own childhood, when my sister had fallen into the river, and I had plunged in to save her. The simulation combined the danger of the cityscape with my own memory of terror, guilt, and eventual relief. My body trembled, and I could barely speak. I risked everything. I didn't think of logic. I thought of her. Felt deeply. That is human. Her ears flattened slightly. Fascinating, she murmured. This is a composite emotional response, layered with personal history and genuine concern for another being. I did not predict this. I met her gaze, feeling a surge of determination. You say humans don't feel. You say we are shallow, predictable. I just proved that wrong. We are flawed, yes, but our flaws are intertwined with emotion. Fear, hope, love, despair, they make us real. They make us unpredictable. They make us alive. The Fox engineer was silent for a long moment. Then quietly she said, "Perhaps. I underestimated your species. You have layers I did not anticipate. There is a resonance in your emotional output. A complexity I did not calculate." I nodded, wiping my hands on my pants, still catching my breath. Feeling is not weakness. It's our strength. Machines can simulate reactions. Programs can predict responses. But emotion, true emotion, that is something you cannot engineer. That is human. Her tail twitched in contemplation. You have proven a point. Not just to me, but perhaps to yourself. She stood, graceful as ever, and approached the hologram, peering at the collapsed cityscape. It seems humans are not as predictable as I believed. And perhaps in ways I do not yet understand, capable of things I cannot measure. I smiled, relief and triumph mingling. Exactly. And it's not just about surviving. It's about caring, feeling, risking yourself for someone else. That is what makes us real. For the first time, the Fox engineer's lips curved slightly, an almost imperceptible smile, but unmistakable. Perhaps. I have much to learn. The machines hummed softly, the cityscape still flickering in blue light. For a moment we were silent together, two very different beings, yet connected by the one thing she had once denied humans could have: feeling. And in that moment I realized that sometimes proving your worth isn't about brute force or intellect. It's about letting yourself feel, letting the world in, and showing someone that the human heart is unpredictable, unstoppable, and entirely real. She looked at me again, her amber eyes no longer sharp and clinical, but thoughtful. Humans. Perhaps you do feel. Perhaps you always have. And I knew right then that the Fox engineer had been wrong, but more importantly, she had learned something she had never expected. Humans are not just reactive. We live in every sense of the word. The machines hummed softly, the cityscape still flickering in blue light. I stood there, chest heaving, as the Fox engineer studied me with an intensity that was almost human. For the first time, her sharp amber eyes softened, and her ears tilted in a subtle gesture I had never seen before. "You react unpredictably," she said quietly, her voice losing its usual edge. "It is emotional, genuine. I did not anticipate this." I took a deep breath, feeling the adrenaline fade but the emotions lingering. Fear, relief, hope, pride, all tangled together. "Feeling isn't weakness," I said. "It's what makes us human. Machines can calculate, programs can simulate, but emotion, true emotion, cannot be predicted." Her tail twitched thoughtfully. "You risked yourself for someone else, layered your responses with memory and concern. You acted out of care, not logic. This is unexpected." I stepped closer to the hologram of the collapsing city, my reflection mingling with the virtual chaos. Caring makes us unpredictable. Loving makes us strong. Feelin' makes us alive.